ready to begin the next game here. Game 3. After a subsequently short break, coming in straight away for the action, we do see them clashing. There's that vertical spinner employed there. Oh my god, it's just knocking him around. There's no way Team Monsoon is throwing kinetic energy like that. Oh my god, some sparks already. Oh no!
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Welcome back to LEGO Wars and Heat B of Series 6. Last time out we saw another instance of a defending champ stumbling in their defence as Samo fell into the play-in bracket while former winners Agrawobber look to be back on form on their way to winning the night. This week it's the third seeds Quantum returning to the LEGO Wars arena after a strong run to the semis last series alongside their fellow BattleBots rep and former Heat winners Whiplash coming into this series as the 26th seed. Let's see who else is joining them tonight.
First, from Birmingham and seeded number 3, Quantum.
The top crusher in the series is back with a new battery pack and armour package to help push it one step further.
From Thousand Oaks, California and seeded number 26, Whiplash.
The two-time Heat winners return with a new front tip but have been plagued with thermal troubles in the specials and will be out to get the KO early.
From Coventry, Monsoon.
Like our seeded machines, Monsoon is in its third year of fighting but is out to prove it can still fight with the best after its drive pod popping a disaster in the heats last year.
From Helsinki, Finland, Darude.
New boys Darude make their debut tonight with a neat looking sandstorm livery and the same style drum as the 4th seeds Ganymede, so there'll be one to watch.
From Bristol, Bop.
In some ways, Bop was unlucky to fall in the heats last year, but they've kept pace with their Beetleweight counterpart and those forks may prove to be the difference. With another strong field, let's see how Quantum will get on in Fight 1 as they face the swinging hammer of Bop.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Away we go then for our second heat of LEGO Wars Series 6, and we start off this heat with our number 3 seed Quantum returning after a semi-final run. Last time out, lost to Duck, of course, in the semis, beat Ganymede to secure third place. They take on Bop, a returning machine this time round, which I believe has been much improved. It's been massively reworked internally, and that hammer mech, of course, very akin to, of course, former champions and winner of last week's episode, Agrawobber. Bop, meanwhile, have not had the success, but they've only been in LEGO Wars a couple of series. Quantum, however, they should know better than to be stopped still like that, and they have stopped completely still. And Bop here is going to get a famous victory. Quantum have done absolutely nothing and just died on arrival. Bop is going to secure 3 points and a shock victory here. It was all over so quickly. Quantum didn't really get involved in the fight very much at all. The damage happened here on the arena spike. Something must have happened internally to Quantum. I'm sure David will explain shortly, but Bop will not care at all. 3 points on the board after going 1 and 3 last series. Great start for the sophomore robot.
Chalk that KO for the spikes as the arena hasn't stopped the third seeds dead, gifting Bop a fortuitous 3 points. Next up, it's a contentious rematch from BattleBots Season 7 between Monsoon and Whiplash.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Away we go then for fight number 2, Whiplash versus Monsoon. Of course, a rematch from a BattleBots fight in World Championship 7 in LEGO Wars. They've not fought before, I don't think, although I'm sure the comments will correct me. Whiplash seeded 26th after their run to the round of 32 last series. They won their heat, but Thermal Cutout has kept rearing its head for Whiplash over many a fight now. Monsoon had an abysmal LEGO Wars Series 5. Their drive pods, if you remember, kept exploding. Let's hope they have corrected that during the off-season. Whiplash goes straight for the pit button, and again, third time lucky for Whiplash, down it goes. The driver in LEGO Wars, Matt Vasquez, you are not. Monsoon up to speed, although I think spinning the wrong way for the way they want to be spinning. Whiplash, are they suffering ill effects of thermal cutout already? We're barely a minute into the fight, and you have to say, Whiplash having thermal issues this early on is not a good sign. They have reprofiled that front end on Whiplash as well to be more ground scraping, but if they're not able to drive at their opponents, what good is it for? Monsoon yet to bring that weapon into bear as well. They'll be conscious of that should we go to the judges. Whiplash, though, struggling to translate across the arena, and the lifter now lifted on high. Can they bring it down? Or are they just in a world of trouble? Whiplash able to get moving again, but only very briefly. That lifter arm labours, and the thermal cutout, you can see they just kind of juddered to a halt. Whiplash here, the number 26 seeds, up against it as they take on Monsoon. A little slow lift from Whiplash. Monsoon pushes back the seeded robot. Whiplash back into the fray, but not with any great enthusiasm. Whiplash here, no, they've got a challenge against Monsoon, although Monsoon have not really done anything of note themselves. I'll be honest, it's been quite a poor fight between the pair of them thus far, but they have made contact now with the weapon. I think actually a piece of Monsoon's weapon has come off rather than any of Whiplash. Whiplash cornered by the pit. Can they get away? They're trying their best to. That weapon of Monsoon up to speed once again, and it does look ferocious when it's spinning like that, but they need to actually bring it to bear on Whiplash. 26 seeds. Like I said, a round of 32 exit last time to Ganymede, a similar weapon type to Monsoon, but now Monsoon can come in on the attack, and they have hit Whiplash on the wheel. Wheel stays intact for now. Whiplash really is struggling, though, with that thermal cutout. It's a real problem for them, and it's a much more pronounced problem for them than it is for a lot of other robots in the field. The field will have to take note. We're going to get a time between these two. It's not been a thriller, but we're going to get a time. And the judges between Whiplash and Monsoon, I would not like to call that one. This fight for me goes firmly in the category as one for the purists. Whiplash started off quite strongly against Monsoon. The thermal cutout really did affect Whiplash in this fight, and I do think that they suffer from this affliction more than most in the LEGO Wars field. Monsoon, though, didn't really capitalise. It was a poor showing from both robots, and the judges have got a tough one to decide a winner.
And the winner, by unanimous decision, is Monsoon. They may have got the early flip, but both robots look to be struggling to make an impact, and they will need to do better. Let's hope we'll have a little bit more action on our next battle as Quantum looks to restart their campaign against Darude.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Well, Quantum will want to recover from that embarrassing first performance from them. Darude, meanwhile, a rookie to LEGO Wars, although we did see them in the international special a few weeks ago. They'll be hoping to claim a big scalp in the form of our third seeds. Can Quantum recover from a shock defeat, it has to be said, to Bop in fight number 1? They'll yet to get off the board, so they'll be hoping and praying that they can secure some much needed points. Darude, we did see potential destructive capability from them in the internationals, but has to be said, they were outclassed by, LEGO Wars Series 5 runners-up Duck in the internationals. Duck, of course, also beat Quantum, and Quantum here, well, that was a good bit of driving there from Quantum. Darude caught between a rock and a hard place, aka the Pit of Oblivion, and Quantum. Quantum pushes Darude over the pit, and Darude inexorably going down the pit. No, they escape. Good driving from the rookies. They get away to safety for now, but Quantum will be hoping they don't live to regret that later in the fight. Quantum letting Darude go, but stop that drum almost immediately once again, and down comes that crushing arm. Now it's Darude forcing Quantum back. I wonder if Quantum are regretting not finishing them off then and there. Good push back again by Darude. Can they get Quantum down the pit? Not quite. Quantum now digs deep. More grip and more power in the drive, getting them away from the pit. Darude spins up its weapon once again. But can Quantum bring that weapon down once again? Yes, they can. They've got Darude pinned against the pit button. Can they guide them towards the pit this time, I wonder? Darude stuck against the pit button. Can they get away? Yes, they can. Quantum, they'll be unhappy they haven't won the fight already in the third seed here. There's a big target on their backs coming into LEGO War Series 6. It's a big, high bar to match what they did last series, but so far Darude can be very happy with their performance. Darude back into the safety of the centre of the arena. Can Darude get that weapon up to speed? Yes, it can, but spinning the wrong way. Quantum brings the weapon down on the back of Darude once again. Darude up to speed once more. Can they get some more damage inflicted on Quantum when they're spinning it the wrong way, so they're not really engaging the way that they'd like, although Quantum is very much, it seems to me, struggling with thermal cutout, and they're being pushed back slowly towards the pit here by Darude, and almost ended up down the pit there. They'll be glad that they got away, but it's not been a stellar performance or a textbook performance from Quantum, and we are going to get a tie between these two. Darude is going to get points on the board. They'll be happy about that. Quantum R2. We go to the judges. Not an easy one to call once again. For me, Quantum, I feel, was the one in control of the fight from the very start. They grabbed a hold of Darude's wheel and were dictating the pace of the fight for vast swathes of it. Good push, though, by Darude to get the pit button open. Somehow escaped the pit of oblivion with a good bit of driving. Quantum, as the fight wore on, though, did start to succumb to thermal cutout, and they'll be hoping that that won't rear its head again in the future fights.
And the winner, by unanimous decision, is Quantum. That's more what we were expecting from the third seeds, but I wonder if they will rue not getting that pitting. Back in the arena though, it's Bop hoping to extend their lead against Monsoon.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Two robots with winning starts. Can they add another win to their record for LEGO Wars Series 6? Bop did very little in their first fight. Quantum just kind of died by itself. Monsoon also did very little. Whiplash just wasn't having a good day at the races, and these two will be hoping to put on a little bit more of a convincing performance to establish their credentials for later on in the competition. Bop, starting the more aggressive, got in underneath Monsoon and has, I think, broken one of the forks on Monsoon's weapon setup there. It's kind of twisted to one side. Down comes that menacing hammer of Bop, over and over and over again. Monsoon up to speed. Can it bring that weapon into play? We didn't really see it to any great effect, did we, against Whiplash? And they'll be hoping for a more impressive performance in this fight, although so far, has to be said, Bop seems to be the one in control and stops that weapon dead of Monsoon. Monsoon trying to get in underneath once again, doesn't get it. Can they get in underneath? Bop here doesn't quite manage it again. Hit button activated by Bop. Monsoon up to speed once more. Not really able to bring that weapon into play there, is it, Monsoon? Bop's hammer is coming down over and over again with some effect, I guess, and scoring points. Should we go to time between these two? As we approach half distance in the fight, Monsoon's weapon up to speed. Can they cause some big damage to Bop? I wonder. Bop gets round the back of Monsoon. Good driving from Bop once again. It has certainly improved versus last series, hasn't it, Bop? They went 1-3 last time around, and they're doing much better this time. And the front panel look, I think that is part of the bulkhead look. It is of Monsoon. I did say it was bent earlier, and it's now even more bent, courtesy of Bop driving into it over and over again, and it is causing problems for Monsoon's weapon. They won't be happy about that. Bop trying to force Monsoon down the pit, doesn't quite manage it. Monsoon responds in turn, but that weapon really isn't that effective, is it, on Monsoon? We're not seeing it kind of churn through as they would like to do. Bop into play once again, pushes Monsoon back into the pit button. Good control from Bop. Weapon up to speed once more from Monsoon. Can they bring it to bear? Not quite yet. Bop pushes Monsoon close to the pit, but Monsoon gets away. Retreats to the centre of the arena, but is pushed back into the arena wall by Bop. Bop, you have to say, in the ascendancy at the moment. Great control and aggressive tendencies from that machine. Monsoon needs to do something, and quickly. Neither of them have had great weapon effectiveness, but you'd have to say that Monsoon's had a lot less weapon effectiveness, if that makes sense at all. Like, Bop's intended output has been bringing the hammer into play, and it's been doing it quite well. And we are going to go to time between these two, and these factors will be considered when we go to a judge's decision. Or will we go to a judge's decision? Yes, we will. Just about. Monsoon survives. We go to 3 minutes and time, but it was a tricky one to call between these two. Key factor for me, the excellent control from Bop and the lack of ability to engage with that weapon of Monsoon. That we didn't really see Monsoon bring that weapon in and cause the devastation we know it can do. Bop, meanwhile, were able to maximise their output, pushing Monsoon around the arena very well and using their hammer to some effect as well. I think Bop just, but I'm not a judge. They have to decide.
And the winner by unanimous decision is Bop. They may have solved their drive pod falling off, but something's not right on Monsoon's spinner as Bop extends their lead at the top. Meanwhile, Whiplash are back in action looking for more points against Darude.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Well, we had two robots in our last fight that had winning starts. This time, two robots that had losing starts. Whiplash losing their first fight to Monsoon, Darude losing their first fight to Quantum, and they'll be hoping to rectify that as we move into their second fight of the night. Whiplash looking a little bit more mobile to start with, although that will change as the fight goes on, so they'll be conscious of trying to get this fight wrapped up and over and done with early doors. Darude, we saw glimpses of potential maybe against Quantum, nothing particularly earth-shattering, but a decent enough showing to prove that they are worthy of a spot in LEGO Wars Series 6. Quantum will be awaiting the result of this fight. They know they've still got to fight Whiplash later on, but they were able to beat Darude fairly easily. I would say, if you're a Darude fan out there, probably a slightly trickier opponent for Darude. So they'll be hoping that Whiplash should be easier pickings, although you have to say, Whiplash often, in the last few fights we've seen them and in previous tournaments, have been known to almost beat themselves with this. Look, the thermal cutout issues raising their heads again, and this is a real problem for Whiplash because they know now they are somewhat at the mercy of Darude's control. And Darude is able to come in on the attack like that and remove a wheel from Whiplash. That is huge damage. It's impacted their manoeuvrability, and Whiplash now are on the backward step, and they need to do something and quickly to try and stem the tide of this fight. At the moment, Darude, the rookies, are beating the experienced Whiplash, the 26th seed in LEGO Wars this series, but at the moment, they've been anything but rookies. They've been superb in this fight. They've controlled the fight well, and you have to say, Darude so far looking every bit the robot we wanted to see, a Yeti-style drum spinner in LEGO Wars, and Whiplash here has no real answer. It's a shame really, because we know Whiplash is so capable on their day, but has their day been and gone in this format, LEGO Wars? And Whiplash now, they need to do something to kind of turn the fight around, but what can they do? They've lost a wheel, they are thermaling like crazy. Darude is taking advantage whilst they can do. Whiplash, I don't know what they can do. Can they guide Darude towards the pit? But they seem too well controlled for that. Darude on the attack once again. That drum spinner checked only by the armament and the armour of Whiplash. And so far, Whiplash this series has been a real disappointment. Seeded Machine, top 32 last time around, won their heat last time around, but they've not really had a big impact on proceedings in LEGO Wars Series 6. We're going to go to time once again between these two. A second JD of the night for the pair of them. We go to time. Whiplash and Darude. Over to you, judges. Once again, Whiplash, the early aggressor before those thermal cutout issues came to the fore, not really giving Darude a chance to spin up and rob them of the opportunity of causing damage. However, as before, the fight wore on. Whiplash's thermal cutout issues reared again, and, well, we saw the consequences. Darude were able to pick their shots. They sustained heavy damage. Whiplash, I think Darude have done enough in this fight, but I'm not a judge. They have to make the decision between these two.
And the winner by unanimous decision is Darude. Looks like we're in for a very JD heavy night tonight as Whiplash again struggles with thermal, leaving us with a pretty open field going into the second half. Next in the arena, it's another all BattleBots encounter as Quantum takes on Monsoon.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
Halfway through the heat then, and how would you assess these two's performance? I would give Monsoon a C-, given the fact that they've won one fight and lost the other, but they've got 3 points on the board. Quantum, I would say a D-. The third seeds, a win on the board, yes, but a loss as well to Bop in the first round, and of course they are currently in joint last place with the other seed in this heat, Whiplash, so they know they've got work to do. Monsoon, I would say, slightly better on the basis that they are currently in a qualifying position. Monsoon trying to bring that weapon into play. We still haven't really seen the maximum effectiveness of that Monsoon weapon. Quantum, we've seen bits and pieces of their potential, but not really to any great effect. And I'll be wary of going over the arena spikes there because that was their undoing in their first fight against Bop, of course. Quantum in on the attack again against Monsoon, trying to pin that weapon down. The weapon of Monsoon now fully up to speed. Can it bring it to bear against Quantum? No, misses out there. Fun fact about these two. Tom Brewster, of course, the builder of the BattleBots robot Monsoon, used to work for Robo Challenge. Robo Challenge, of course, built Quantum. So a little bit of a workplace rivalry between these two. Monsoon will be hoping to try and get a little bit of revenge, I guess, on his former employer. Can Quantum come in and cause some carnage of its own? Can it try and drag Monsoon towards the pit? Monsoon, that is some damage from the Monsoon weapon. Actual tangible damage to that front end of Quantum. So this is better from Monsoon. We are seeing some damage caused by that big weapon, but thus far hasn't really been the most effective robot at delivering those big hits. We've seen Monsoon deliver huge shots before, but so far it hasn't really been to the maximum potential that we know that it's got. Quantum is now pinning Monsoon in the corner, gets away, retreats to the centre of the arena, back on the attack again. Not really able to, implement its own strategy of trying to grab Monsoon. Monsoon is an awkward beast to kind of deal with, and Monsoon back on the attack once more. That weapon up to speed again, but not really. Again, look, it's not contacting Quantum in the way that they'd like. Does so there, but the weapon's already slowed down. Quantum again tries to pin the angles down, doesn't get it, and it is slowing down to a crawl. I wonder if those thermal issues we saw towards the end of the last fight against Darude are starting to rear their head again for Quantum. That Monsoon weapon up to speed and is hitting Quantum, but not really causing any great damage. Tentative fight between these two, and we're going to go to time once again. That is 3 Monsoon fights in a row that are going to go to the judges. Quantum will be hoping they've done enough, but I don't think they will have done. We go to 3 minutes and time, and a wheel comes off right at the end of Quantum. Will that be a deciding factor, I wonder? Quite a cagey and tactical fight between these two. Quantum early on was the aggressor, controlling the pace of the fight, and Monsoon once again did struggle to bring that weapon into play. Eventually we did see, though, the effect of the big Monsoon vertical bar causing damage to Quantum's front end, ripping a corner off. Quantum were able to stop that weapon on occasion, but Monsoon for me were the slight aggressor throughout.
And the winner by unanimous decision is Monsoon.
Monsoon
Finally dishes out some damage tonight, but it doesn't quite take the lead outright as Quantum appears to be in trouble with 3 points on the board and only 1 fight left to do. Meanwhile, Bop are back in action against a Whiplash desperately after some good form.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
Away we go then. Bop versus Whiplash. If we were going to use the lettering grading system for these two, I'd give our seeded machine Whiplash probably an E or an F. Not the most spectacular start to their run as the 26th seeds. Bop, meanwhile, I would give them an A, maybe an A plus if they can get a win here. They're on 2 wins out of 2 thus far. Only 1 point short of a maximum 6 out of 6, so they'll be happy with that. And already you can see there, Whiplash is having thermal cutout issues once more. Bop activates the pit button. At the moment, you have to say, Whiplash is looking pretty sorry for itself, isn't it? Bop comes in with the big hammer, and again, and again, and again, over and over. And Bop is looking pretty good here to move on to 8 points. Whiplash, meanwhile, currently stuck on 2. They've got points on the board, which is something that, you know, not everyone last week did, which is a good sign for Whiplash, but they're a seeded machine. They're seeded 26th. And at the moment, I think they're not going to be progressing any further in this competition if they don't score points here. I think they're pretty much done, aren't they? They've got to hope that they get a massive swing of results in their favour. They're being counted down and counted out already. Whiplash, I think that is the end of them. Bop comes in again with another cursory nudge.
6.
And Bop is going to walk away with 3 more points on the board. Whiplash beaten, and that's that. After the initial coming together of Whiplash and Bop, there was only one winner. A good lift initially from Whiplash, but immediately the thermal cutout issues seemed to rear their head. Bop came in with a couple of strikes with the hammer, a couple more strikes with the hammer against that rear wall told for Whiplash, and that was all she wrote. Not a thriller, but 3 points on the board for Bop.
They're not out of it yet, but Whiplash's campaign is hanging on by a thread as Bop claims a spot in the bracket. Only back-to-back wins for Darude can stop the Axbot from a heat win, and they're back in action now against Monsoon.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
Away we go. Monsoon entering their final fight of the night with a chance of still making it through to the bracket at the end of the series. Darude have work to do on the back-to-back. This is the first half of that. They'll fight Bop after this. Monsoon's weapon up to speed. Darude up to speed as well. We've not really seen a major impact from either of these two thus far, although you have to say probably Monsoon go into this as favourites with the experience. We have not really seen them at their best though in this heat, it has to be said. Darude trying to get the round to the sides of Monsoon, doesn't quite manage to do so. Monsoon up to speed once again, goes weapon to weapon once more with Darude. That weapon has remained intact on Monsoon, it has to be said, throughout the night, which has been an Achilles heel of theirs in the past, as well as the drive pods, which was a major problem last series, but they've rectified that, so they'll be happy with that. But the effectiveness of the weapon, has that been all there really for Monsoon? I'd say probably not. Monsoon's weapon up to speed once more, goes clashing into Darude. Darude doing a decent job at the moment of kind of staying front facing to Monsoon, and the back panel of Monsoon is slowly whittling away. You can see it kind of bent and buckled there. The shocks of the Darude weapon coming into contact with their chassis certainly having an effect on the veteran machine Monsoon. Monsoon up to speed once more, doesn't really connect though with Darude, and a good impact again by Darude. It's a decent showing here from the rookies, I have to say, and they've caused damage there to Monsoon. They've knocked that kind of weapon system back on itself. Pit belt activated by Monsoon. Good driving there. They're trying to get Darude down the pit, I wonder. Darude trying to get that drum back into play again and cause more damage to Monsoon. Monsoon clatters the wheel of Darude, doesn't quite manage it. And a good impact again there by Darude, and more damage sustained there by Monsoon. The kind of bulkhead holding that weapon system in place has been broken somewhat, but now the drum of Darude is pinning against its own chassis, so that'll count against Darude in that their weapon effectiveness has now been massively compromised, in that it doesn't actually work at all now. Monsoon, meanwhile, there goes that loose back panel I mentioned earlier. That's come off, and now they've been pushed onto that back panel by Darude. High centre just about gets away though. Monsoon back in on the attack on Darude. Darude stuck in the corner, trying to get away, but struggling to do so at the moment. They're kind of pinned in there. Now gets away and retreats to the safety of the arena centre. Monsoon pursues though, and that weapon has caused damage to Darude. They're not spinning the weapon anymore, Darude, and that is going to count against them. Should we go to time between these two, or will we? Monsoon has Darude kind of caught towards the pit. They're kind of stuck on that discarded back armour that we saw earlier on. We are ticking down to time though, and another JD for Monsoon. They've been to the judges at every single fight so far this heat. Will that trend remain? Yes,
6.
It will. They go to the judges for the 4th time, and well, who's the winner of this one? Oh, now Darude goes down the pit. Good back and forth between these two spinning weapons in this heat. I think throughout the fight, Monsoon were the ones generally being more aggressive and were the ones advancing towards Darude for the majority of the fight. Darude's drum did cause damage to Monsoon's bulkheads. We saw part of that kind of split away at some point during the fight, but the most decisive damage also came at this impact where the Darude drum stopped, and that could cost them in this fight.
Just so we are aware, I've been reliably informed by the Force Ghost of Anderson9132 that the
Fight.
winner by unanimous decision is Monsoon. Just to let you know. For the third time tonight, Monsoon do enough for 2 points to lock in second place, but I'll have to show more killing intent in the bracket. Darude meanwhile are on 4 points and can sink both seeds if they get a knockout over our heat winners Bob.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
Away we go for our penultimate fight of the night, and heat permutations for you then. Bop is already your heat winner after 3 fights, a spectacular run in this heat by them, and they are going to be through to the bracket at the end of the series. Darude, meanwhile, can still qualify via the play-ins. However, it requires a knockout victory over Bop, and hope, among all hope, that Quantum do not knock Whiplash out. And at the moment, though, Darude have other issues at hand. Namely, they are stuck on the arena screws and can't come down. And is that the fight already? Bop here is going to go on to 11 points, winning every single fight this week.
6.
Only one didn't go to knockout, and Bop wins again. Well, Darude do currently reside in third place, and they'll be hoping for a weird and wonderful result in the final fight, but this was not how they planned their last fight to go. Stuck on the screws, Bop, another 3 points on the board, and a big result in this week's heat.
A poor driving error from Darude leaves them needing Whiplash to finally work tonight in order to claim a play-in spot. Neither seed has shown their best form tonight, but there is still a chance of a play-in berth, so let's see how they'll finish.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
Away we go then, our all-seed clash for the week. Quantum at number 3, Whiplash at 26, and the permutations are as follows. Whiplash cannot catch anyone above third place, so they will be eliminated unless they get a very, very lucky wild card into the play-ins. So the 26 seeds are fighting for pride at this stage. Quantum need a win. Doesn't matter how they get it. If they get a win by knockout or JD, they will go into third place and should secure a play-in berth. Because on countback, they beat Darude. So let's see if they can do the job on Whiplash here. Whiplash has started very well, but we've seen that tail before already this heat, and Whiplash is now grinding to a halt. And are they having similar issues to what they've had throughout the heat? Yes, they are. Look at this. It's barely even driving already, Whiplash. This is a disaster for them. The 26 seeds right next to the pit. And Quantum now comes in with a grapple. And Whiplash is looking a little bit forlorn, it has to be said. There goes the Shremek of Quantum poking out the back as well. Whiplash almost getting a good nudge of Quantum in the pit, but in the process have lost a wheel. How's that happened? A wheel of Whiplash has come loose, and now Quantum seems to be struggling. Quantum, are they struggling for drive as well now? Whiplash seems to be a little bit more alert and effective and is suddenly back in the fight. Quantum are looking like they've ground to a halt themselves. This really is one of the fights of the series so far. And look at it, there you go, Pass Me was right. Whiplash now has a chance to upset Quantum and knock the third seed out of LEGO Wars Series 6. Can they do it though? Whiplash, what are they doing? Oh, awful driving from Whiplash straight down the pit, and Quantum somehow have gone through in third place. What on earth happened there? Oh, what an awful fight. This is one of those fights in which neither robot really wanted to win it by all accounts. I mean, Whiplash came in strong early on, as they have done a couple of times at the start of the heat. Quantum comes in, and at this moment here, you think, oh yeah, it's just an easy win for Quantum. The wheel comes off Whiplash, it's a done deal, surely. Wrong. Quantum absolutely pooing itself, and then Whiplash, in sympathy, drives down the pit. What on earth was that? Quantum a lucky escape.
In the end, Whiplash seemingly decides Harry Carry is the best solution as they ensure all arena hazards get a KO and a slightly bizarre end to tonight's proceedings. It's been a grueling night of action in the arena with JDs galore, but the shining light has to be the sophomore campaigner Bop as they end with a near faultless score and give us 2 consecutive Axbot Heat winners for the first time. That's all from us tonight, but join us next time as it's a full horizontal frenzy with the 5th seed Zorby Blade out for another crown this year alongside our channel mascot Sweepy. For now though, I've been your host David Smeg, and we'll see you in the next one.
Hang on, back again, forward again, there you go. Jen occasionally has to stop to push his heart back in his chest.
Okay. There you go.